What is your opinion on the 12 Imams revered in Shia and Sufi Islam? I think generally the Imams of Shia Islam are mostly revered and respected within Sunni Islam. Generally speaking, they are. I mean, on the 12th Imam, I think some of people may disagree, but there isn't any disrespect towards the Imams of Ahlul Bayt. But obviously, they disagree in to what degree are these people the reference points. So let's say Imam Ja'far al-Sadiq is a respectable, highly respected Imam within all of Islam, mostly speaking within Sunni and Shia Islam, but his I suppose his point of being, or his being a reference point for all matters in Islam, would definitely be highly disputed. So Sunni Islam generally won't, not that they don't agree with him, but he's not the main reference point for, let's say you want to learn about a hadith, you're not going to say, well, what did Imam Ja'far al-Sadiq say about it? You're just going to look at the hadith scholars, or you want to learn about fiqh, you're going to look at the fiqh scholars. And so they don't use them as reference points. And to be fair, I think there's some element that it is done on purpose, because I feel historically that the Ja'far, like let's say that's a good example, Imam Ja'far, because he's a teacher to people like Imam Malik and Imam Abu Hanifa, but they seldom quote from him. And I feel that's because maybe he was closer to what the Shia claim him to be than what the Sunnis claim him to be. Allahu A'lam, but I feel that may be the case. So both spheres agree on these figures. Shia Islam will claim that he used to have certain kinds of teachings, like the supremacy of the Ahlul Bayt and the bloodline, the sacred bloodline, and he would have certain. Obviously, the whole Shia tradition, or huge amount of it, is based on, let's say, Imam Ja'far al-Sadiq. So Sunnis will claim that no, the Shia have made up most of these things, and Imam Ja'far wasn't really somebody that would have said things like this. But then they don't quote from him, which leads one to assume that, well, in which case it's more likely that he is saying what they are saying, or at least close to what they are saying. Otherwise, you would all equally have a series of things transmitted from him. This is an assumption. Obviously, we don't know these things as a fact, but that's what I think. That's my assumption on this. Yeah. And there are, we have to try to overcome some of these barriers. We have to, because these differences are not going anywhere, Sunni, Shia, and we have to try to think that, look, all people are trying to come from a position of love for the deen, and we may agree with them, we may not agree with them. We obviously won't, let's say as Sunnis, we will disagree with the Shia on many views, but it doesn't mean that we have to hold an enmity, or we have to be, people are different. In principle, we agree with many of the principles. I'm just saying, like, let's say the principle of love. Like, they have love for the family of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Now, that principle, we agree with it. It's an amazing principle. And even if we're not doing it as much, and they are doing it, so, in that sense, we could be proud of them. And then, they would have certain things we would disagree with, let's say. Obviously, there is a lot of sometimes as well in the Shia tradition, I feel that they caught up a lot in history, because the whole thing is centered around the history and the tragedy of the Ahlul Bayt. And by contrast, it then leads out to, let's say, hating on certain companions and stuff. But what I'm trying to say is that where we disagree, we could just leave that, and where we agree, we can respect each other. and then just we don't need to talk about it. We don't need to. I don't need to turn you into a Sunni. You don't need to turn people into a Shia. We just need to understand that, look, these things are here to stay, and we have plenty of common ground, and just move forward with an element of we agree to disagree, and just love, and just harmony in that sense. And we have to try to be fair as well, where we have made mistakes. Try to be fair, or if you are going to discuss something, be fair. The verse that we looked at today, اعدلوا هو أقرب للتقوى لا يجرمنكم شنعان قوم على ألا تعدلوا. Just because you disagree with a sect, don't let it lead you astray. Don't let it make you be unfair, because it's very unlikely that you are 100% upon the haqq in everything, and they are 100% upon the falsehood in everything. This doesn't make sense. That's like rationally incoherent. And you have to be fair. People have to say, look, okay, either you just don't discuss it, but if you are going to discuss it, try to be fair. This whole verse we're looking, قوامون لله شهداء بالقسط.